All right, welcome to this episode of Monetizing Your Mental Capital. I'm your host, Will Christensen, and today I have Rachel Miller here from Pagewell. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Will. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Why would an e-commerce seller, we're going to dive right in. Why would an e-commerce seller be interested in hearing from you on this episode of Monetizing Your Mental Capital?
To be completely honest, I think I'm probably one of those people who happen to become an influencer or marketing guru type of person.
You
Not
like
something I've ever
stumbled
like
into it?
I stumbled into it. Yes, there you go. I still look at myself and think, why should people listen to me? For background, though, what people are probably looking to hear from is I've trained over 27,000 businesses so far, paid buyers of my programs. And I've done over 10 million in sales, including over 1 million on a single product on Amazon. So that was pretty fun.
Over 1 million on a single product in Amazon. I love that. That doesn't sound like stumbling to me.
Well, if you knew me, you'd see I'm your neighbor next door. I live in the regular house in a regular neighborhood. I have four now, a small fleet because I got too many teenagers. I've got four beat up used cars that my kids have wrecks with. They're learning to drive. They took out a duck sign, like the actual duck crossing. So like the neighborhood park has like a sign, protect the ducks. Yeah, that sign. Uh,
Bit the dust.
they're gonna be putting that sign back up. So I wouldn't call them like real car accidents, but they're still annoying ones. Um, so yeah, that was fun in the neighborhood today. And it wasn't today. Anyway, it was recently though. Life. Anyways, backing up, yeah, I think of myself as just the regular mom who just loves to make an impact on others and also has this hunger to do more than just be the mom sitting at home with her kids and wants to make a bigger impact in my family's wallet, but also in other people's lives.
Beautiful. So, thinking back, when's the first time you can remember monetizing your mental capital? When's the first time you can remember being like, oh, yeah, I went out and sold X, Y, or Z?
The first time I ever sold something that I wrote was probably when I was like 11 or 12. My parents had us create a neighborhood newspaper and it's basically like a gossip channel for the neighbors. And
Awesome channel for the neighbors. I love it.
yeah, I think we were homeschooled growing up, and we were one of the first years that homeschooling was allowed in our state. And so there were no other homeschoolers and there was no curriculum. But my parents and their like community, basically, we were going to a Mennonite school. The Mennonite school didn't shut down, but half the kids left the year that homeschooling became legal. And we had to kind of figure it out on our own. And so my parents decided that our writing curriculum would be we write a newspaper and we create columns for the neighbors. And they had to pay like 10 cents, whatever it was for the cost of the paper to keep this alive. And that was the first time that I started a little. I started getting paid for my intellectual capital, which was, all of that at like 12 years old. But I
I
knew where that so and so was cutting down their firewood, and that there was a problem with the gophers. They dig under the crops, and there was like a Christmas tree farm, and they were paying $5 for you to go shoot the gophers. So I was able to tell all the neighbors about that. It was
nice.
important stuff.
Come over here and shoot the gophers for us because they're knocking out the trees.
Yeah,
I
that's exactly okay. You gotta like they were destroying like crops, foundations of people's
oh
homes. Yeah.
yeah,
The neighbors were basically putting a bounty so all the teenagers could make a little extra cash.
make a little extra cash and solve the gopher problem. Love it. Okay,
We lived in
so
a small town.
hey,
That was the drama.
that was the drama. I love it. I
But
love
I
it.
got paid to talk about it, at a 10 cents per article or 10 cents, whatever it was, and 10 cents just to honestly pay for the supplies. It was the act of having to write when I didn't want to, though, led to when I was a school teacher and I did not think I was going to be self-employed or an entrepreneur. When I was a school teacher, I had babies back to back. And so I got pregnant, and a year later got pregnant, and or within a year. And so they were like, yeah, 2 maternity leaves in 1 year. That's a little much to be asking from anybody. And they didn't tell me to quit, but I kind of realized that that was the good thing to do at that point because it wasn't fair to an employer. And so, and I felt like I had to quit, and I couldn't do it. Does that make sense? Like I was like this isn't working. And so, when I quit, my husband came home. I was depressed, not because I was having babies, but just depressed because like this wasn't what I wanted for myself. I wanted to have this career and talk to people. And suddenly I'm like a stay-at-home mom with two babies who don't talk. And so anyways, in that stage, I came home and my husband's like, I got you a website. So what do we want to call it? Like, so he basically said, you have a website now. And I started blogging. And that was where I first started taking what's from my head and turning it into something that other people could consume and use and enjoy. And then from blogging, we went to e-commerce. And then from e-commerce and blogging, I moved into with it was blogging, affiliates, and e-commerce. So those at the same time. Then I moved into teaching classes.
Wow.
Yeah, and now I have a software program, which is just crazy.
It sounds like a total adventure.
Yeah, the software is so far my favorite, but yes.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And as you began on this journey, obviously you've learned a lot along the way. I want you to imagine for a second that you just stepped into a coffee shop with a friend, and this is an old friend from high school. And they sit down, and the old friend from high school this is like one of the good friends from high school, not one of the ones you're like, I can't believe I'm sitting in a coffee shop with you, because there's plenty of those for me. Um, but basically, this person says, hey, man, we haven't talked in forever. I'm actually kind of excited. I've been doing a couple $1,000s a month on Amazon, and like I'm thinking this could be like a real business to kind of figure out some of what's there. I have so many questions. I got questions about product listings. I got questions about you know like how to optimize these listings. I got questions about advertising, reviews, like launching new products. Do you know anything about any of those things? And as they start tossing that out there, I'm curious, Rachel, how would you respond to that comment?
What I love to teach people about the most is how to build an audience. So I would encourage them first to go find like the niche that they want to serve people in, and then build an audience about that niche. And that happens just by posting about that topic, talking, finding out who's interested in it, creating groups about that. So I sell through community first, and then I use community to trigger Amazon. If they're looking about how to create an Amazon listing, how to get their product out there on Amazon, my friend Kevin King and Norm Farr, they're my favorite people for Amazon training right now. And their program's completely free as a like bonus if you sign up for, I think Helium 10, I think is what how you can get their training program for free.
No,
But
Norm, it is Helium 10. Norm was on the podcast just a couple of weeks ago.
that's so cool.
Yeah. And about a year ago, well, it's not quite a year, about 6 months ago, Kevin King was on the show.
They're
So
amazing, amazing humans. I love them. And so I would tell them if you want to know the particulars of how to get a product listed on Amazon, don't listen to me. Go listen to them because they have the most up-to-date information. My stuff has been on Amazon, and frankly, I haven't optimized the listing in years. And that I'm not the person to go to for that. What I do think is important though is that you have an audience, because if you just have an
mm,
Amazon listing, that doesn't mean you control the buyer. It doesn't mean you can remarket to customers. You kind of have a one-hit wonder. And I know that because this right here, okay, they're a tangled mess because they're just a tangled mess. But I actually was selling essential oil jewelry for the longest time on Amazon. And I don't know whether it was my supplier or what happened, but I actually had where all of a sudden my products, which I actually designed them. So like I sent them to like designs, here's the look, here's the how it's going to work. I found my entire product line copied with another brand. Like they did what's called like a brand hijack. Does that make sense? Where here's the
Mm-hmm.
product, and now all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden the packaging's the same, da 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 da, and someone else is now selling this. That happened because I didn't have brand protections in place because I was new, but it also happened because I didn't own the customer base. So that's something I would go back and tell everybody when you're starting. Make sure you have a way to capture their emails, to capture who that person is that you're collecting so you can remarket them for another sale. Because the reality is, who freaking cares if they took the 900 people who were buying my essential oil jewelry? Because I could also sell, oh, where's the rest of it? I guess I can't find the rest of it. I had them in a drawer, but okay. The other one is something my kids really love, and it's this like leather bracelet. So every now and then I find it gone, and it's in my teenagers' rooms. I could also sell the essential oil bracelets or the essential oil little bottles to go along with the necklace. So I didn't. I lose one product, I still have my whole brand. I still have so much more that I can offer, even if whatever
Interesting.
happens. Now, in this circumstance, it was somebody else that like started selling these. But in other circumstances, it could be that you lost permission to sell that item. And now you need a way to sell the rest of your inventory through Shopify or through your own sales page. You can't
Okay.
pivot if you're stuck and you don't own the customer base. So that would be my number one thing to tell them. One, go to Helium 10 and get Kevin King's course, which is the bonus if you go sign up for Helium 10. And that 10, two is to make sure you control your audience.
Love it. Okay. So tell me, if I'm in that mode of like, okay, I know there are some interesting rules around what I can and can't put inside my boxes. And I don't want, I want to make sure that I'm compliant. I'm not getting kicked off, but I do want to build that list. I know that Amazon does not want me to have the email address of the customer. That's on purpose. They took that a long time ago. And have made it very difficult to get at that data, right? That they're trying to control the audience. So I'm curious, what are the most effective ways you found to capture email addresses when you're in this mode of like you have someone who is perfectly positioned to not let you do that?
So, one of the things that you can do, there's a couple things you can do. One of them is something that I did with those essential oil necklaces. Frankly, guys, they were really hot sellers. And they actually built my essential oil downline, which is a whole nother business. So I basically used Amazon to collect leads to, anyways, long, but you can have little product inserts like these into your product, which you can't do in your insert. So these have a QR code and like a URL in them, which you can't, and also like a recipe card of what to do with the oils. Um, what you can't do in a product listing is ask for reviews. So a lot of times we think the reason why we're collecting a list is to get reviews. Oh, no, 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 no. The reason why we're collecting a list, sorry, I'm trying to put that back together if you can watch me like
So
struggling.
so you can't. So if I make a little bag like that, and that's what goes off to FBA,
Mhm.
it's totally okay for me to put inserts in there as long as the inserts don't ask for reviews.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact rules on that because I'm not the Amazon expert. I'm the audience growth expert, but I believe what it says, so go check the thing, is that you can get them into a VIP community. You can ask them for like give them a free product. You can give them coupons for future purchases,
Oh,
link back
wait.
to
Okay.
Amazon
Hold on a
store.
second. Hold on a second. If I'm, how much is their email worth?
Oh, that's well, it depends. What's your product worth? For
So,
these,
so
like nothing. For
wait, so
essential
hold
oils,
on.
that was a
What do
lot
you
for
mean
me
for
because
like
if I
these?
could
For
get somebody, yeah,
you mean like those, the ones the essential
yeah, this is
oils
another
thing?
one of my products on Amazon. These
Oh, the
they
kitchen
were
cheat
like
sheet thing.
kitchen magnets, and I was trying to. I have a blog that's a crockpot blog, and it had like what you could do to replace recipes. And I think I had like an air fryer
Oh,
one. And there that the cost of that customer for me because I don't have a high ticket program on the back end is very, very low. So it doesn't behoove me to have more of those leads. So I would say that lead is
unless
probably
you found
maybe
a higher ticket item to sell to them,
yes.
in the which case you would. Okay, so let's go. Give me a. What would you
Now
say?
this one here, I didn't tell this story to very many people at all. This is not my product, but I'm kind of a dorky, geeky kind of girl. And so I found on Amazon post-it note packs of brain
Okay.
anatomy. And it's actually like anatomically correct brain anatomy. And being the geeky person I was, I bought 50 of them. You could buy them packs of one or like two on Amazon, which were highly ridiculously overpriced, like $12 for one of these. Or you could buy 50 for like, I think it was like 50 bucks or something like that. So it was like, well, I'll buy one for 10 or I'll buy 50. What they were, the seller of this is freaking brilliant. What they were actually doing was self-selecting who does not want to buy a single brain post-it note, but who wants to buy 50 brain post-it notes? Well, you know who wants to buy 50 brain post-it notes besides a weird girl who lives in Texas who thinks they're really cool and wants to give them away to people?
Wait a second. Science teachers, or
No, no, brain surgeons.
uh,
Because they're going to take this post-it note and say, the
wait a
spot
second.
on your brain where you're having the issue is right here. So like I did not realize that. Well, I mean, I got this. Actually, my son has epilepsy, so we actually got something similar to this from our neurologist. But this was like a year after I'd already been pitched. So I got this and I got like an insert and I don't have the insert anymore. So I wish I'd kept the dang thing. But the insert was something to the effect of like, contact us for free da da da, and we have monthly dinners where you can come and
For
learn
brain
about.
surgeons.
Yes, they're attracting brain surgeons and brain like health clinics.
Holy
And
freaking
so that
crap.
league, they're happy to basically give away these in packs of 50 because who wants 50 of them except the person who's actually going to be doing. I mean, like guys, they came in this giant box. Like I didn't get like 50. They get 50. But I was being targeted to be a lead because who wants 50 of these? Somebody who's going to be looking at
The
these and saying, this
outlier
is my problems.
rando who because when it came to you, they don't know who you are because you're on Amazon, right? You're totally anonymous. And so they were like, yeah. And at that point, it's like lost leader because I bet they convert pretty well. I would be willing to bet that for that thing, they're probably getting, even if they got a 10% of their orders, the
We're
person
one
actually
out of a
engages.
hundred are an actual brain surgeon. Well, or a brain clinic type of thing. I mean, even if one out of a hundred is a brain clinic, that right there is a huge lead and list that they can do a lot of really cool stuff with. I mean, like
Okay,
this lead is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars.
okay,
Um,
so that lead is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the
yeah, because what
insert,
are they going to sell them? They're going to sell them one of those like robotic surgery tools that's probably like $7 million tool.
yeah, well, and they need a way to build a relationship.
Yeah.
So this is fascinating. If you consider what you're selling on Amazon as an audience building tool
Uh-huh.
instead of a vehicle to make money,
Mhm.
all of a sudden you create new vehicles.
And Amazon is a search engine. So when a doctor is going to search for a doctor's office, I need new, whatever it is, what does a doctor's office need that no one else needs? And they put that product on Amazon. Well, now they're able to attract that lead because of the search engine power of Amazon, which was pretty freaking brilliant of them.
Okay, so that is fascinating. Let's imagine that I was selling fidgets. I've got, this is something I often use as an example because I've got plenty on my desk. So I have this guy that's
Oh,
like
it's
a,
pretty.
it's super fun. I love this fidget. It's one of my favorites. It's got these gears on it and smooth, spins really nice. This thing's like a $15 fidget, which my parents and my family have figured out that I like fidgets, and so I get lots of them. I've got probably 15 more here I could show you, but let's imagine that I was selling this fidget on Amazon for $15, and what am I? And this individual, obviously, they don't know much about me beyond that I like fidgets. So maybe they've identified me as someone who has ADHD. I don't know what would be the strategy. Let's say that that's your old high school friend sitting across from the table, and they're like, "Yeah, I sell $15 fidgets on Amazon. I make a couple $1,000s a month." And you're like, "Oh my gosh, you need to be building an audience what are you doing with product inserts? And they're like, what are product inserts? And you're like, oh, stand by. What would you tell them?
Um, well, just thinking off the top of my head, what I would do for them would probably be something where it's this is one of the inserts that I had in one of my products. And I would say make something like this, but make it a scratch off ticket. And it would be a which of the following defines you? ADHD, scratch it off. Love playing chess, into like geeky toys. A mom, I just bought this on a whim. Like, and then they get to scratch off which one's them. Why scratching it off? Because the ADHD person wants to fiddle with all the things. And then underneath each one of those scratch offs, I would have a QR code to their surprise.
Okay, so it scratches off, gives a QR code to the surprise. Oh man, you would
And
hook
then
me
you have a
so.
different one for each type of person because
I
each
I
one of them
would
is a little bit
scratch off.
different.
I would scratch off every
You would,
single
and you click on
freaking
all
one
of them
of them.
because you're a click
And
that's what
well, honestly, I'd be so impressed by the insert. I would be like, I need to like do all of these. And see, the fascinating thing is like the ADHD one. Like I scratch it off, QR code pop up, and it's like, hey, we've got this other fidget that we'll send you for free. Enter your email address and address here. How
Or you could
much?
even do something like we're going to send you a Starbucks card. One out of 100 people who clicks on this. So somewhere in here, you might be getting a Starbucks card. They're going to keep going.
Okay, so my next question. Oh my gosh.
You don't want to do it every time too, because every time, well, now they're expecting it. Well, the ADHD person getting that, like it's the endorphin that they're
The
selected.
dopamine
So I
hit.
would actually not make it, so it's actually would be less beneficial if you gave every single one of them a Starbucks card. But one of those could be a course for how to be better at chess. Another one could be here's a Rubik's Cube. Another one could be here's a set of 50 fidget toys that are amazing. Another one would be how to work on your brain health, or another one could be a meditation app. And all of those then are ways that you can monetize. And
Have
then,
you read the Six Working Geniuses?
no, I haven't, but I love
Um,
reading.
okay, so you need to go read that book. It's by Patrick Lencioni. He's the same guy that the Ideal Team Player is another book that he's read or that he's written. He's an organizational development genius. Total brilliant genius. He developed this as a team composition strategy thing, and he figured out that there were six working geniuses. The reason I'm tangenting here is because you just rattled off like seven different strategies off the top of your head, and a lot of them I was like, not so much,
I
Um,
always do that.
what and what that tells me is that one of your working geniuses, I'll be they have a test that you can actually take. It
Oh,
costs like
fun.
$25. Um, my one of my working geniuses is innovation, or the guy who goes out and creates new stuff,
Ooh.
right? So the first working genius is wonder. I wonder if there's a problem. The second working genius is innovate, or figure out what that is. The third working genius is discernment, where you actually decide that one of the ideas that the innovator came up with was actually worth trying. The fourth working genius is a galvanizer. So this is the person who actually gets everybody going and moving in the right direction. The fifth is a supporter, somebody who supports the project to completion. And the last guy is the tenacity. And that's the one that checks all the boxes and finishes the project or product or whatever it is that you're building. And so they say to build teams that have cross functional abilities across these six working geniuses. So for me, a working frustration is discernment. I hate choosing which one of my ideas is going to
Which
go to
also
the
goes
moon.
with fidget personalities. Most people that love fidgets also have decision fatigue.
Yes, yes. I can't stand that, and then I can't stand finishing anything either. So discernment and tenacity, total, like really
Now,
hard
does
for me.
tenacity about finishing something, or is it about taking it with gusto?
No, tenacity in this situation is about finishing.
Okay.
So
I never
so
finish anything.
so taking it with gusto would either be no, taking it with gusto I think is a galvanizer.
Okay.
Somebody who's like
Yeah. I was
getting
like, I'm part galvanizer, part tenacity. No, yeah, you're right.
so
Maybe I'm all galvanizer.
if you're a galvanizer innovator, like if those two things, you have the same working geniuses as me.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
So it's fascinating though, because you consider some of what's there, and it's important to look at how you fit in the world and the things that light you up the most. And so I love what you're doing from that perspective. And I had to ask because I think
Yeah,
I
we have the
think
same
you're
ones.
you're solidly in that realm. Um, okay, so I got those inserts, $15 product, probably somebody with ADHD or at least some sort of attention stimming, maybe autism. Like there's different sides to who's scratching off those stickers, but man, the scratch off is such a brilliant idea because you get them to self-identify, and then you have, across the, maybe it was a 5x5, you have 15 different QR codes on there, and they're specific offers for what they scratched off. So it's wildly um relevant to what they're going through.
Yeah.
So how much, let's say I scratched off the ADHD one because I do have ADHD. How much am I worth to the 15? So
It
now,
depends what your product is on the back end. So you'd need to make a funnel and you need to test each of those and find a product that each of those people would want.
so your friend is sitting across the table from you, and he's like, I got this guy in Syracuse, Utah, that bought this $15 fidget. And I like the idea of an insert. How much is his email actually worth to me?
Well, again, it depends on what your upsell is going to be. So if your upsell, you're going to make $3 on your upsell, well, then he's worth $3 to you. If your upsell is that he's going to make $3, but it's a recurring thing. Let's say you get a affiliate on a supplement. And so now he gets on a supplement where he's taking that every month and it's $3 a month and you get to have him for an average of 8 months. Well, now he's worth $24 to you. Well, let's say you own that supplement company. So you're not an affiliate for it. You're making the supplement's $19 a month, you minus the $3, so you're making $15 in profit potentially, or that's no, you're not making $15 in profit. You're probably making $17 in profit on a $24 one. But let's say you're making best case scenario $17 in profit on it. You're now, and they stay for an average of 5 months with the supplement. That's pretty average.
Okay,
Um,
so let's say the person, so I'm now taking that role of the person sitting across the table from you. Well, okay, so he's worth whatever I can upsell. Like I
yes.
have another fidget that I could sell him, that, and it's another $15 fidget. Um, like how much is his email address worth to me if I've got like a series of these 5 or 6 different fidgets that I could market to him?
If you have him on a subscription plan where you only had to capture him once, then he could be worth $70 if you've got 5 of them. If he's and you're selling them for $15 a piece. If he's worth because after Amazon fees. If you're doing it one at a time, it might be another $15. So I'd say between 15 and $17.
Okay, between 15 and
Well, no, it'd be
70.
like 13 because of Amazon fees. Well, 11, 12 to because you have a percentage of your fees that goes to Amazon, so you're gonna
Yeah,
have to and that's assuming you drove that traffic back, so you don't have to pay some of those the seller fees.
right. So at that rate, um so walk me through the math again. How do I, if I've got, let's imagine that I've got 5 of these fidgets. I'm trying to come up with the equation here. So if I've got 5 fidgets that I could sell for $15 and he buys one fidget, um
So if they buy on Amazon, then you just have that buyer. This is an A for Amazon. Sorry, guys, my handwriting's horrible.
you're
If you're
good.
not watching, we'll go watch it because I'm now doodling. If
Yes.
this person purchased on Amazon, they're worth, if it's $15, let's say they're worth $10 to you. So knowing that they're worth $10 to you, if you have 5 of those to sell, you have some choices. You can sell them on a monthly subscription plan. And if that's the case, then the person is worth like $70 to you
So you would,
because it's
so
not
at
a
that rate,
one-time
if they're worth
sale. You've got
$70 to me,
them.
then it's a question of how much of my marketing go. Oh, so you're saying $10 is my profit. So I'm willing to spend, what do I want? $35. Let's say I'd be willing to spend $35 to capture that lead. I've doubled my money.
Yes, because they're joining in for $10 and they're potentially signing up for your $70 monthly subscription plan where every month they get a fun
Fidget.
spinner in the mail. And
Okay.
so every month they get Christmas all over again. It's Christmas year all year long. And I would sell that probably Christmas time. So that way they have a reminder that grandma loves them all year long. So this one is the $70 lead. Now, if they don't sell them in a subscription plan and you're selling one and then you're trying to convince them to buy the next one, buy the next one, buy the next one, well, each one of those is a separate sale. And that's generally there's a conversion, I believe. I don't know if it's changed because like I said, guys, I'm not super um e-commerce is not as much of my thing as I've been in the past.
Yeah,
So
but in the past, it was 2 to 4%
2 to
of the
4%.
email
So
addresses.
if you've got 10, then that means two $1 one no, that's
Well, two to
10% of
four
$1.
percent would be you'd need 100, and then you'd get 2 sales, right? 2 to 4
Yes.
sales on 100.
So just know that every time you drive, you're gonna have to
Because
drive
if they're
again.
worth, okay, I got
They're
you.
gonna be worth less to you. So each buyer might be worth
Well,
two
then they're gonna be
dollars
worth,
instead of
yeah,
70.
exactly, exactly. Okay,
Now
so
it gets better though once you have more than 1,000 in your list. You can do it like 500, but because of all the iOS privacy stuff and how Apple's fussy and tracking's fussy, and Amazon's not or Facebook's not tracking as well, we would really suggest an audience of 1,000. Once you have 1,000 of these people, so you've got the 1,000 of these Amazon buyers, you
yep,
can create an ad, and now you can make a lookalike audience and tell Facebook or YouTube,
interesting.
Google,
Go
find
find
people
people
just
like
like them.
this.
And so now you can actually see your ad cost go down too, and your cost of acquisition.
Okay, I love that. So really, I'm trying to do the math to figure out what's my lifetime customer value. And I love like subscriptions. Oh my gosh. All right. So switching, we're gonna use your innovator brain here again.
So,
Um,
like one of my products, the first product I actually ever sold on Amazon was this toothbrush.
okay.
Um, Parents are supposed to get the toothbrushes for their kids every like 60, 90 days. They're supposed to get a new toothbrush for their kids. Parents forget to do that.
Oh yeah.
What would be super helpful is to, hey, here's the Star Wars toothbrush. Would you like to have the Marvel toothbrush that's coming out in 3 months? We could deliver it to you. And now you can have the Thor hammer. And now you can have every
So
90
you could almost
days.
do like the subscribe and save Amazon feature to
Yes.
make it so like just
But now you're
subscribe.
selling outside of Amazon. So they get
Mm.
the toothbrush and on the back QR code, get on our subscription to have the next one
And
sent
that's
to
not
you
against
automatically.
terms of service at this point, as far as you know.
Well, I mean, no, I don't know if it's a good. You'll have to look it up because like I said, guys, I'm not the e-commerce expert.
Got it. Got it. I love
I'm
the
not the
idea though.
Amazon expert. I mean, I sell on e-commerce. I sell stuff all the time. I just don't do the nitty-gritty.
I love it. I what you've described is freaking brilliant, and that scratch off sticker thing, um yeah, there's definitely some interesting legs there. So you're sitting at that table, this individual who, you've been friends a long time, they turn and say, is there anything else that you'd share with me? Like I'm in my first year, obviously it's been crazy. I can't even tell you how grateful I am for telling me about these audience hacks. Like that really helped. Any other words of advice or wisdom that you'd have for me?
That they need to have a funnel off of Amazon. And so I would suggest my tool that I made because I was just like, this funnel stuff takes freaking forever. But you have to have traffic off of Amazon. And you're stuck on Amazon unless you can get traffic off of Amazon and have a place where you can collect them. Well, if anybody else has tried to build a funnel off of Amazon, well, I tried on one of my competitors' sites and it took me 487 steps, 86 steps. I counted. I have a screenshot of all of them. And if you want the handout, I can give you every single step so you can follow it step by step to make your own funnel on my competitor's site. And I was like, this is just ridiculousness. So we made a funnel where you can take your Amazon product, stick the link into our tool, and it will automatically build you a landing page. And you can decide, do I want to have a landing page that collects emails? Awesome. Do I want to have so now they get they give me the email and then they click purchase and it takes them to Amazon to purchase. So now you've got buyer intent and you collected the email before they went to Amazon. You also didn't have as high of a seller fee because Amazon you drove the traffic, so you decrease your seller payout.
Wowza, wowza.
Yeah.
Okay, that's you're
So one's
um
email, the other one is direct to Amazon if you don't want to collect the email and find it, just do the pixel. And then we also will make your inserts, but we're working on them. We only have like six and they're kind of ugly, so I'm working on making new ones. But
working on making new inserts. It sounds like you probably may need to go into like the whole like call Goldstein and or some terms of service expert and figure that out, because if you're doing inserts, you got to be the expert on whether or not,
we just started the inserts probably like last week or the week before we started creating
this sounds
inserts.
like an innovator. This sounds like an innovator who's flying by the seat of her pants and figuring
Yeah,
stuff
people
out
asked
as we
for them and
build
we're
the
like, yeah,
plane.
sure, we can do that. What do we need to do? P.S. They're really ugly right now.
Yes, yes, I totally get it. Okay, so use page wheel is
Yeah.
one of the words of advice. Build a funnel outside of Amazon.
Yes, have
And
some type of way to collect their email, collect their address, collect any information about them.
so your answer to the question is go do what I told you to do. Like there that really is the most important thing you can possibly do is collect that audience.
Because Amazon's going to drive you sales. Like Amazon will match whatever sales you send. So if you drive a little bit of your own traffic to Amazon, this is actually something we did to get books to rank. If we want to get something to go from okay category to the next category up, you just need to send like 10 sales in a day. And then you're going to drastically increase in the number of like ranking of where that's going to come up in search. Well, now the more people that you have doing that, when you send 10, Amazon's going to send another 20 because of the way the search goes. So it's in your best interest to drive some traffic because Amazon's going to match you. You just want to make sure that you're always able to capture that traffic.
Cool. Um, I freaking love this. You've given some really awesome tips there. As we wrap out the episode, my final question for you is this. Any tips, tricks, hacks, or oh, I lied. I have a question I have before that. Um, I want you to imagine, Rachel, that you could make a phone call to young Rachel who's just quit her job. And she's like, I don't want to just be a stay-at-home mom. I want to be interesting and figure out some of this new stuff. If you could make a phone call, if I handed you a cell phone that rang her right now, what would you ask her? What would you, well, not, sorry, not ask her. What would you tell her? What word of advice would you have for her?
Well, I think I'd give her a big hug because that gal, that mom of me, my hubby and I, we really struggled at there. We went from we had two struggle times. One, I had a struggle time when I first became a stay-at-home mom and I had my young kids and I just had to reshape what I was imagining for my future.
Yeah.
And then I had the second one when we went from three kids to six kids in a year. And I would go back to that mom and say, every single step you take is a step in the right direction. Because when
Mm.
you're at the end and you're like, I don't think I can do it, there's like, what is going on? The world is passing me by. Well, if you're in that hole, every step is the right direction. So a lot of times we get like, I was talking to you about decision fatigue, where we're like, what should you do? Well, if you just say, like, whatever decision I make is the right decision. So I just have to make the decision and take a step. So every single day, I took a step of action for my business. It might be a small step, it might be a 15-minute step. But if every single day I take a step, I can look back and I've conquered the mountains.
That
So every
totally
single day,
reminds
take a
me.
step.
That reminds me of the idea of become 1% better every day,
Yeah.
right? And then it reminds me of like the 80-20 rule. Like you spend 80% of your time on stuff that only gives you 20% of your revenue, and then the other way around, you spend 20% of your time developing 80% of your revenue. So focus on the 20% that's actually making you more money. um I love that. So definitely push in on some of those priorities. I think that's really powerful. Now for that final question that I almost asked earlier. Tips, tricks, hacks, or books you've come across in the last year that have helped you monetize your mental capital.
Um, You see, I don't remember when I last read them. I don't remember when there's some pretty fun books. Um, let's see
Which of those
what
books would you recommend to your friend who's sitting across the table from you at
I'm
that coffee shop?
I've enjoyed Sell Like Crazy by Sabri Subri. I've enjoyed that one. And I've read that one in the last year. Die with Zero is a good one too for someone who's like a little bit. I don't know if I'd suggest that to the person at the coffee shop, but I just suggest that to the person who's a hoarder of all the information in your head and all the things, and you like waiting for the next thing. Does that make sense? Die with Zero was really good for like getting me out of my mental trash. Um, I think the thing that helped me the most was realizing that I had a calling to make an easy button for people. And originally it was an easy button
Mm.
of your audience, but then it became an easy button of how can I make the process faster for people? And that's actually what you do too, Chris. Will. I said
Yeah,
Christensen, but I'm like, no, his name isn't his first name's not Christensen. For some reason I
you're
think,
good. You're.
okay.
I've had that. So many people have called me Chris. You're good.
Okay, Christensen, I was like, that's not, for some reason that I just put your name like that. Okay, anyways, Will, you do this. You automate things for people. You find how do I have the easy button? That's like a calling almost, and a compulsion. And I don't know where I learned the easy button. I've been reading a bunch of books on it in the last couple years. But how do you find the easy button? That's something that I've been obsessed with in the last year.
100%.
You are too
Uh,
with all the automations that you do.
oh, I'm 100% focused on that. And we, so one of the things I do outside of Cellular Labs is I started an entrepreneurial cloning chamber.
Ooh,
Yeah.
big.
So we do exactly what you're describing, and we take overwhelmed entrepreneurs who are having a hard time chasing their tail, struggling with delegation, those individuals who are like, oh, I need a VA, and they've either tried a VA or they're about to try a VA for the first time and they're gonna fail. It took me 7 different VAs before I figured that out. Long and the short, I've built a process to automate, delegate, and eliminate, to kind of connect those dots. So
I love
100%.
that. You've made the easy button for people.
Exactly. It's the easy button for your first hire.
I love that.
Is basically the easy button I've built. So
Well, you guys send me the link to it later.
yes, I will definitely send you the link. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. This was wonderful. Definitely some good nuggets there to share with the audience.
Will, you have an amazing day. Thank you for
You as
having
well.
me.
All right, that's it for our episode of Monetizing Your Mental Capital.